Good afternoon or maayong hapon. Welcome to Tala Talks, where I share my everyday thoughts and everyday experiences. It is such a beautiful afternoon and those guys are taking advantage of it. I can see lots and lots of people as well just enjoying what life is all about. Mother Nature, seawater, nature all around us, fresh air. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you 10 things to expect when you plan to visit the beautiful island of the Philippines. Actually, the Philippines has more than 7,700 islands, but when you plan to visit the Philippines as a whole. A little history about myself. I'm actually Pinoy or Filipino, and it's been my goal to travel in many different locations in the Philippines, and I've been very fortunate and lucky enough to experience not all, but I would say some. And the first thing I wanted to let you know is that in the Philippines there is such a beautiful diversity of landscapes. So obviously right behind us you have the sea, but also if you go just a few kilometers that way, let me reverse the camera if you can see this. It's a bit cloudy straight ahead, but those are huge mountains. So here in the Visayas region, but I would say all throughout the entire Philippines, you have really tall mountains, and then you have the beautiful seas as well. I just saw a very beautiful swallow, a bird that's like swarming around me. That bird really likes to protect this tree. Every time, see that? Every time I'm here, just poof, oh, there's two of them now. But you might see them popping in and out. So if you like the sea, if you love the mountains, we also have cities bustling 24 hours. You name it, we have a lot of those landscapes available here. We are a tropical country. We are also part of the Brown Belt. And the Brown Belt means one of the very fortunate countries that produces the best coffee in the world. And you can find Liberica, Arabica, Robusta, and Excelsia. Wow, I can't believe I got that right. But some of the things that you should try definitely when you visit the Philippines. So lots of landscapes to see and enjoy. You see those birds? Yep. Whoa. I think those birds are testing to see if I'm afraid of them or not. Whoa! They're so... One time I actually took a video, and I'm not sure if you've seen that video, between the camera and my face, and poof! I'm like, that's a very cheeky bird. But one thing I will warn you in advance, and it's a good warning, Filipinos are one of the warmest, friendliest, hospitable people you'll ever meet. And when I say that, a lot of the locals that are not in the city, that are in more... Whoop, sorry, the bird. They will love to show their hospitality by feeding you or offering you drinks. And even if you are a stranger, in their eyes, you are an instant friend, and they will invite you to their homes. They'll ask you to join them, and there's no hidden agenda behind that. I would say our love language here in the Philippines is the F word, which is food. And I have such a silly story, and I don't know if you want to hear it, but when Eddie and I first got together, Eddie is from Scotland. I would always like feed him. If ever I would be snacking or munching on something, I would like offer him, and if he didn't take it, if he didn't take the food, I would think like, is something wrong? Are you sick? Like, what's wrong? You know, so I would constantly offer him food, and there came a point where he was like, stop, like I don't want to eat, you know. And I realized sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming if it's a person's first time to get to know a Filipino. We just love the act of service, which is feeding. Check this out. It's really, everywhere I look is so magical. Aside from the birds trying to spook me away, or maybe they're wanting to make friends with me, I think they're fishing. A son and his father. It's beautiful. This is where we are right now. And look at that. This is a very beautiful sight to witness. I'm pretty sure that is a fisherman with his son, and he will probably be following the footsteps of his dad. And I'm pretty sure that little boat, or bangka in Tagalog, is something that they've made. And it's very nice. I wish I had I wish Eddie was here because he has a beautiful camera to take photos. Yeah, that's very relaxing to look at, and I do hope they're able to catch fish for their food or their next meal. And that gentleman over there is sourcing out, oh, Popeye. Popeye is our resident dog. I fed him haggis the other day from Scotland. He enjoyed that. But Mr. Gentleman over there sourcing out some nice salt water so that in our pool inside we can get some salt water to swim in. Next, if you are worried about what you're going to be eating in the Philippines when you visit, don't you worry, fret not, because in the Philippines we are a melting pot of different cultures. We were colonized. I don't know if that's a nice word to use these days, but it is part of history. So we were colonized by the Spanish. And so if you like tapas or like little nibbles of delicious food to go with wine or beer, we have a lot of Spanish food like paella and whatnots. And also there's a huge Chinese influence as well. I do feel like the Chinese cuisine is all over the world. But if you check on Google and you want to see which country has the oldest Chinatown, believe it or not, Philippines has the oldest Chinatown. And there's so much history that goes between the Spanish and the Chinese. And at one point the Spanish were afraid of the Chinese because the Chinese people, or that group, was multiplying much faster than the number of Spaniards here. And so yeah, that was a threat to them, and some not so nice things happened. And I mean, it's, you know, it's good to know the history. But with regards to food, yep, even Malay or Malay food, there's a lot of that here. If you like Malaysian or Indonesian food, we have that as well. But just in general, right now it's been trending for the past years, Japanese food, and I would say ramen. Oh my god, ramen is everywhere. Talking about food, I think Popeye can hear me. He's getting hungry. Popeye wants food as well. Don't we all want food? So there's a lot of food here for sure, but I would highly recommend for you to try our local food, or fruits that you can just source from the tree above us. I'll flip the camera so you know what I'm talking about. Da-da-da-da. Those beautiful green, round, hydrating fruits called buko, or coconut, or butong in Bisaya. Now, just a little side note, it's quite interesting because ironically there's so much buko here in this beautiful country called the Philippines that you rarely see people selling it. Like, it's just rare. And I finally figured this out the other day because my experience with traveling outside of the cities, the locals will just ask you, hey, you want coconut, you want butong, and then they'll just like climb up the tree like it was climbing up the staircase or the stairway in your home, and then they'll just grab you a coconut. And there's one kid one time when I was in Mindanao, and he was like, hey, you want butong? Or I can't remember how he asked it, but I was like, yeah, sure. And then he must have been, I don't know, maybe 11 years old, and I was thinking, oh my god, does this kid have insurance? But you know, to them it's like their playground, which I admire. I would love to learn how to climb a coconut tree. He just climbed it up, and because he didn't have a bolo or a knife, they call it something else in Bisaya. I learned that tamsang, or I'm gonna ask I couldn't find it. They call it something else, particularly here in Darwin, but in Bisaya or in Filipino it's Itak as well. So yeah, we didn't have an Itak because what's an 11-year-old doing with an Itak or bola, right? So he took the coconut and he just smashed it onto a rock, and there you have your hydrating water or juice. It's incredible. And so going back to coconuts, yeah, you just you rarely will see people selling it. They'll just climb up a tree and share with you, because I think it really speaks a lot about the Filipinos, where nature is meant to be shared, and they love to share food, and even what the plants bear, fruits and veggies. It's just incredible to be here. So I hope you get to experience that. Try to learn some Bisaya or Tagalog, 'cause that will definitely help. Oh yeah, so we are a tropical country, so just prepare for the hot and rainy season. You don't have to worry about the cold, because it's not gonna get cold here, not unless you go to Baguio or the Benguet area, but that's gonna be nowhere from Alaska or Iceland. It rains a lot, and when I say it rains, it can rain for hours, sometimes days. So if you are planning to have a lot of outdoor adventures, just bring your water gear. Make sure it's not going to be hot, or make sure the water gear is breathable. And if it's hot, bring your SPF, bring a lot of sun gear. But if you want to get your tan fix, yeah, that's what you can prepare for, hot and rainy season. Nevertheless, whatever the Philippines throws at you, it's going to be all part of the fun. And I think this really speaks loads. I mean, if you look at my face, and I'm being very realistic here, would you think I'm Filipino? Because when I travel to other countries, or even the locals here, when they see me, they're like, Pinoy ka ba? Like, they just, so, which brings me to the next one, is there's a huge cultural diversity in the Philippines. You will see people looking very Western, but hey, they're pure Filipino. Maybe they have ethnicity, Spanish ethnicity, or people like me, maybe with Oriental eyes, who may have some Chinese and European blood as well. Because yeah, I tend to get a lot of freckles and rosy cheeks. So on my dad's side, there's some Italian blood. My mom's side, there's Spanish and Chinese. So I'm just like a mix of all of that. So expect a lot of cultural diversity, which is gonna be really fun, because it's always like a guessing game. Like, you never know if, it's fun. It's a lot of, and even our Tagalog, for example, if you say camiseta, it's like a top, but that's also Spanish. Or silla, which is chair, but it's also Spanish. So if you plan to learn some Tagalog or Filipino, you will be hitting two birds with one stone. You'll be learning Spanish and Tagalog as well. So there's so many Tagalog words or Filipino words that are Spanish. Unbelievable. Festivals are so incredible in the Philippines. I did mention this in the other video. The Philippines has one of the most holidays in the world. I think we're pretty high up there, maybe top 2 or top 3, but any chance we get to celebrate something, we will, and that means no work. So there's a lot of festivals going on, even if it's like a barangay festival or heritage festival. There's always going to be parties left and right, so be sure to check what festivals are going on if you plan to visit particular regions in the Philippines. One of the things I would highly recommend is Sinulog in Cebu. That's so much fun. Head on to Siargao, where you end up eating in people's homes, because they're like having some like barangay festival. There's just loads to experience, and if you don't drink, don't worry, you don't have to drink, but most probably you'll end up enjoying some Red Horse. And Red Horse is a very popular Filipino beer, because it's got a horse on it, and if you look closely, sometimes the horse is smiling like that, so that means it has more alcohol content. I'm not promoting alcohol here, it's just like part of the inuman experience. And you also have Eagle beer in certain countryside places in the Philippines. It's gonna be fun. This is super important to mention about transportation. It can be a little bit challenging because there's so many islands, and so yeah, plan your itinerary carefully, and make sure to source your tickets from proper websites. If you want to book ferries, sometimes ferries can be cheaper if you're planning to visit different islands. Ooh, that is a very healthy fly on my nose. If you plan months in ahead, you'll be lucky to book cheaper flights as well. And you have buses, strikes, jeepneys, yeah, just be sure to plan your itinerary carefully and always leave room for allowance just in case there are delays in transportation, so that yeah, you just want to travel with an open mind and heart. It's our transportation here is definitely not like Europe, where there are trains that connects from country to country, especially in Eastern Europe. In the Philippines, it's gonna be all part of the fun and have an open timeline to make sure you don't expect certain things. I do realize the sound of the machine might be noisy, so we're gonna go take a quick walk. And the next on the list is language. So it would be nice, as I've mentioned, and I'm sorry if you are seeing some trash. There is gonna be a nice project here for a cleanup. Yeah, clean up trash day, because you will see some random bits that are not meant to be there. But next on the list is language. It would be nice for you to learn some Bisaya or Filipino or Tagalog, because people seem to soften up much faster if you make the effort to reach out and to learn different languages and to learn about different cultures. That's not just for the Philippines, but that is definitely in all different nations. Oh, the sound of the water is so calming. But the good news is that most Filipinos understand Filipino. Like we do have to thank the American history in time, because they took over after the Spanish, and so we are definitely very influenced by the Americans. So a lot of operators, when you call, for example, you decide to call Agoda or an airline, and then all of a sudden, don't be surprised if the person you're talking to is Filipino. Our English here is, I would say it's pretty good, it's pretty fair, and so you see a lot of Filipinos working on these call centers. I guess, to be realistic and just to go straight to the point, yeah, it's cheaper labor for us, and I mean for the companies to hire Filipinos. And because our English is quite good, a lot of foreigners want to retire here because it just makes the language barrier, they end up skipping that language barrier. But not all Filipinos can speak English, but I would say close to 100% would be able to understand. So that's quite a positive thing if you do decide to visit, despite the transportation challenges. At least communication will be a lot easier than perhaps other countries. Did you know that in the Philippines there are so many natural wonders here? We have some of the rarest marine wildlife here, like the blue-ringed octopus. We've got a lot of different cuttlefish. I mean, you'll see that in other countries for sure, but there's so much diversity here. You'll even get the chocolate hills, which is in Bohol. We have so many volcanoes here. I do wonder why we aren't sourcing our energy from the volcanoes, because that's what other countries do. I think it's called thermal energy. They do that, I believe, here in Negros, but it isn't as prominent as it can be. It will definitely save on electricity bills. It will help the environment more, so we don't end up burning a lot of coal. Yeah, thermal energy is the way to go. But going back to the video, there's just so many natural wonders to experience here in the Philippines. I'm gonna go to my favorite spot. I actually discovered this the other day. Look at this beautiful chair. It is so amazing, and this tree will give us some nice cooling shade. Wow. Okay, we'll sit here for a while when I end the video. I'm actually gonna end the video here, but the last on the list is there is gonna be something for everyone when you visit the Philippines. Whether if you are the adrenaline seeker, there's diving, there's skydiving as well. You can go hiking. There are volcano hikes that you can do. Wow, the list goes on, but if you are not the adrenaline type and you just want to chill out, you can also go hiking and camping. You can go astrophotography. You can be a beach bum in any of our beautiful islands. there's just gonna be something for everyone. And particularly where I am right now, Dumaguete is just over there. This is the motorcycles capital of the Philippines because close to 100% of the, almost 100% of the household here owns a motorbike as a mode of everyday transportation. And so when I get on the road, it just makes me feel a lot more comfortable being together with other motorbikers. And so we, you know, when I used to ride a big bike and you say hello to your brother or your sister, you do like peace like that, and that's our way of saying hi on the road. But I'm always motorbike ready. I love riding two wheels. I even love motocross, and it's not so much of the speed, but it's also making sure that I'm safe. And so it's just part of like the whole mindfulness thingy. And yeah, there's something for everyone in the Philippines. So those are the things that you can experience when you visit. Those are the top 10 things to consider if you do plan to visit the Philippines. I hope this video is very insightful and informative. And just feel free to ask me any questions. You can also message me on Instagram, ask me any questions too. I'm gonna see you in the next video. I feel so blessed to be a Filipina or a Filipino here because I can choose to live in any island that I want to in the Philippines. I'm actually wondering if that's like a yacht of some sort, but thank you for watching and sending you good vibes, sending you lots of love and positivity. And sunshine, of course. Bye! Ciao for now!